I'm a panelist today, so I will be passing the host mic to our coalition coordinator, the great Jeremy Corvelis. I'm going to kick it to him to introduce our panelists today.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate that. Hope everyone is doing well today. So we've got some excellent speakers today. Really thankful you all are here. Starting off, Corey Grossbeck. She is the Tobacco Cessation Director for the Tennessee Department of Health. She has 7 years of experience in tobacco prevention at both the local and the state levels. This is working with communities to develop sustainable, evidence-based solutions that promote healthier lives and reduce the impact of tobacco use. She is passionate and about public health and creating lasting change through collaboration and prevention efforts. Outside of work, Corey enjoys spending time near the water, hanging out with her rock star husband, and making memories with their big, fluffy dogs, Zelda and Bruiser, I believe. All right. And eating great food of all varieties and traveling. I love that bio. Next, of course, we have Sarah Bean. She graduated with her Bachelor of Science from Lincoln Memorial University and her Master of Public Health from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville in 2022. Admitting some more people here, excuse me. She has worked in drug prevention education for about 5 years and has been with the Metro Drug Coalition for most of the last year. She spends her time educating middle schoolers and high schoolers in Knox County about the harms of substance use or working with the Youth Metro Drug Coalition. And in her spare time, she educates about social determinants of health with her board game Reality Check. She is married to her high school sweetheart, Jonathan, and they have 6 dogs together and have fostered over 25. Sarah is passionate about educating youth and hopes to foster the next generation through curiosity and transparency. All right. Lon Margosis is the Senior Product Associate for X Program. X Program, developed by the Truth Initiative with the Mayo Clinic, is a free digital cessation program that offers the proven tools, expert resources, and community support that has supported millions of people quitting tobacco and nicotine products. And then last but not least, Jamie Kent, the chair of our coalition. He is a public health advocate, communication strategist, and coalition builder who has helped lead some of Tennessee's most significant recent advances in tobacco control policy. As co-founder and director of Smokefree Tennessee, Kent led the successful statewide campaign to repeal Tennessee's preemption law, which restored the ability of local communities to adopt stronger smoke-free protections. He then helped lead the campaign to eliminate smoking inside Nashville's bars and music venues, bringing together public health leaders, musicians, venue owners, and community advocates to build support for the policy. Beyond his leadership with Smokefree Tennessee, I personally feel this is worth mentioning. Kent is president of the BAM Group, a communications and advocacy firm that has had the honor of working with leading public health organizations, including the American Non-Smokers' Rights Foundation, the American Heart Association, and Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. Make no evidence of embarrassment to say that these are some excellent speakers and some good friends, and I'm happy everybody's here. So we'll move right into our spotlight section to get us started. And yeah, Jamie, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeremy. Let's see here. I'm going to pop this over real quick, get queued up. All right, make sure I'm sharing sound here. I'm excited today to spotlight a program that we have been developing the last couple of years for our coalition. And it brings together a few of my passions, which are advocacy, public health, and music. A lot of you probably know I spent almost a decade on the road as a touring artist, and so I'm always looking for ways that we can meld together music and advocacy and public health. And so this is the name of this webinar, and it's also the name of this program that we've been working to develop called Band Together Against Vaping. I could just blather on about it, but we've got a pretty cool program promo video that we developed that I'm going to play to give you the lowdown on it right now.
Tennessee is in the middle of a youth vaping epidemic. 40% of Tennessee youth report experimenting with e-cigarettes, and 20% report doing so in the last 30 days. So what are we going to do about it? It's time we band together against vaping. A new program being launched by Tennessee Strong and the Tennessee Department of Health to battle our youth vaping epidemic through music, education, and a little friendly competition. Intrigued? Participating schools and students can rack up points in the competition by completing a scorecard event, like signing a pledge, learning the fight song, updating school vaping policy, and more. The winning school will receive an end-of-semester bash, a feature in local press, and a championship pennant to hang from their gym. The hook of a great song can beat the hook of nicotine. So let's band together against vaping. You in? For more details and to get involved, visit bandtogetheragainstVaping.com.
Awesome. So that is the kind of lowdown on it. It's a pretty fun, exciting program that we have developed. The core of it here are the power of music, a competition, and some awesome prizes. The competition side of it, you might have heard in the video, is a scorecard that schools can adopt in here with a whole bunch of different categories to rack up points. The biggest one, of course, the universal vaping policy change. School policy update. We crafted a fight song and worked with Tennessee Strong ambassadors to record it. And so we actually have that song charted for marching bands and choirs. So if a school's choir adopts it and performs it, that's 10 points. If the marching band adopts it and performs it, that's 10 points. We get a vape turn-in day, 7 points. And these are things we can work with schools to adjust and create the right points. And if they have new ideas, we can also add to it. But this is the kind of foundation and basis of this competition. And ideally, we adopt a county or a school system at once so that multiple schools within that system are competing for this prize. Oh, that is not. Hold on. Oh, you go, Bolt. There we go. I don't know. I just skipped ahead like 10 slides on me. That's wild. Anyway, the song, I thought it would be fun to play y'all as well. So I'm going to do that and give you a preview of this really cool song that if you can hear the choir singing on this, these are all Tennessee Strong ambassadors, and then an amazing Nashville singer that we hired to sing on this as well. But it's called Oxygen. And even the crafting of this song was done with Tennessee Strong ambassadors. The idea of the title was theirs, and we worked together to hone these lyrics. See if I can get it playing here. Hold on. Oh, come on. It is not being cooperative right now. Hold on. Apologies, y'all. I'm going to stop sharing and reshare. That way it just lets me go here.
Catch a breath or catch a break.
Awesome. So there's the preview of the fight song, and you can hear we kind of built it to sound like you can hear some marching bands behind that. You can hear the choir behind it. We want it to be big, and we dream of not only the schools playing that at their auditoriums, but hey, if we can get this going statewide, maybe we can even have them at the legislature to move the needle there. Let's see here. So as a quick let's see here. Boom. Back on this. The prizes that we have working with right now in the pilot are a parking lot party with food, music, and games for the winning school, a championship banner. We thought we'd lean into that sort of sports pride and hang that in a school, do a big press push to feature these schools. And then we want, this is still in development, so we want to work with the schools to come up with, and the students to come up with prizes that they would feel like are really compelling and incentivize them to engage in this. The timeline we're working on right now is a pilot phase launching in 2027 with one county, 3-ish schools. We are looking for that county right now. So if there's folks on this call that are like, oh my God, this would be amazing. I know the band director, I know the principal, reach out to us because we want to find the right pilot. And as much as we could make it happen in Nashville pretty quickly, but I think it would be more compelling to the growth of the program and the state if we do it in a different place, and then eventually add in Nashville as we roll it out. Then the next year, 2028, pilot phase one, stick to a region, grow from a county to a region, and then 2029, ideally, we've proof of concept it, got people excited, and roll it out statewide then. So that's kind of the plan coming. Like I mentioned, we would love to engage with as many of y'all that are interested. So reach out, send me an email, or check out. And there's a school sign up form for those interested at the website right here. And yeah, it's exciting. I think this is a really cool, unique program. There are some incredible programs which you're going to hear about on this panel coming up. But we thought, we're Tennessee. We should do something with music and do something different, and grateful for TDH for giving us at the coalition some rope to develop this and work with some of the best musicians in Nashville and the T and Strong ambassadors to bring this to life. So yeah, that's a spotlight session on something cool happening here. Hope to work with y'all in the coming years on rolling this out. Jeremy, kick it back to you.
Yeah, thank you. That was awesome. A lot of interest already in the chat. We're seeing people are wanting to know, when can this start? You answered some of that. This is, I don't know, it's definitely very exciting, and already to see so much momentum is really, really cool. So we are going to hop into our panel here. So, without delay, honestly, I think I may just stop share and then spotlight our panelists and move from there. So I think that probably reduces the headache here. So I'm going to add you guys to the spotlight, and we're going to move there. So actually, to get us started, I wanted to just start, Jamie, with putting you on to talk about some of these questions here. All right, and everybody can see our 4 folks. Let me know if you can't. Rock and roll. So will this be available through the website for this current year? It was one big question.
So I would say it takes a long time to get school administration on board and band leaders, choir directors on board. So I think we're planning on either the spring semester of 2027 or fall semester of 2027, depending on the interest and the speed at which a school can move. We initially had started a conversation a year ago in East Tennessee before the floods happened, and that kind of put things on. But it gave me an idea of how long it takes to roll these out. So I think it's conversations this fall semester to onboard schools with a launch in 2027. But we have the toolkit, and we can email the toolkit to anybody interested to start having those conversations within their own district.
Okay, great. So thank you so much. For the folks dropping potential schools in the chat, I'm loving this. Looks like, Jamie, you're going to have a lot of options to start with. Do make sure you reach out to the info@smokefreetennessee.com email with that information. So we'll get into our questions. I'm going to start us off with the questions with Sarah. You're seeing youth nicotine right there at the community level, and you're working directly on prevention every day. What is it you're seeing on the ground right now? Are there any products, behaviors, or trends that have changed enough that adults working in prevention need to think about how they are reaching out to young people?
Yeah, excuse me. Hi, everybody. Happy to be here. Um, so for a little bit of context, my position is based within our schools. So middle school and high school students, I spend most of my days talking to them about what substance use is, what it looks like. And most of the time, in terms of what we are seeing with tobacco, obviously vaping, that's kind of why we're here. And I'm sure that most people know this, but the disposable pouches now are also becoming an increasing issue for our specific school district. So I'm based in Knox County. We have a total of 95 schools in one district. So we have a lot of students. So we have almost 96,000 students just in our district alone. So our two biggest things that currently we are seeing are pouches, vaping. I would also say, and we've talked a little bit about this, but those nicotine-free vapes, right? So caffeine vapes, vitamin B vapes, those kinds of vapes sometimes are becoming more and more readily available. And on top of that, they also can come in pouch form. So, two big ones definitely are the vapes and then pouches.
That makes quite a lot of sense. Well, in thinking about preventing the use of those things, Corey, the Tennessee Department of Health recently launched the Nicotine Free Futures Grant. This is a cool program. Can you tell us a little bit about that initiative? What's it designed to accomplish? And what kinds of opportunities does it create for communities working to prevent youth nicotine use?
Yeah, so the Nicotine Free Futures Grant is using Juul settlement money. For those who aren't familiar with that, similar to the Master Settlement Agreement with tobacco companies back in 1998, the Juul settlement is holding Juul accountable for addicting young people. So we're using that money in our community to fund 11 community prevention coalitions. One of those is Sarah's. Um, as well as one school district in the state. I see Erica on the call, that's her district. Um, so we're funding them to implement comprehensive tobacco-free schools policies, supportive disciplinary practices, and youth tobacco prevention efforts. Our grantees are working with schools to update their policies, to try and make them as comprehensive as possible and ensure that they cover all nicotine products, to include prevention curriculum for all students, and to provide non-punitive discipline and resources to help students actually break their addiction, not just be disciplined for that addiction. So we're really focusing on evidence-based solutions that we know work to help these students live healthier lives.
Okay, sounds good. Corey, I'm actually going to stick with you for an additional question because since cessation is an important piece of the nicotine-free futures program as well. So how does helping young people who are already using nicotine fit into the broader prevention strategy? And of course, what resources should coalition members know of when they encounter a young person who wants to quit that they may not previously have considered before?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I was just saying, when it comes down to it, vaping isn't just kids being kids or kids getting into trouble doing things they shouldn't be. It's kids being targeted by a predatory industry that's getting them hooked on an incredibly addictive product. Uh, so the natural inclination for a lot of people is to discipline them, but they really need resources to quit. You don't expect adults to quit just cold turkey, so why should we expect youth to? Um, so we're really encouraging schools and community organizations to use programs like American Lung Association's Not on Tobacco and Not for Me, that provide them those resources and that support to quit. Um, Using digital programs like the X program that Lon is going to talk about more, and smoke-free text. We know that um, while our quit line can provide resources for youth, it's only with parental consent, so that's a real barrier there. And we also know that this younger generation doesn't like to talk on the phone, so it's just not a practical resource for them. Um, and then there's also some new tools out there like the American Academy of Pediatrics has a new toolkit for school staff to help with screening and treating students for tobacco use.
Very excellent. And I'm glad you went ahead and intuited it because Lana is exactly who I was going to move to next. Because, man, very few organizations understand youth cessation quite like the Truth Initiative. So, the X program, Lana, has become a major resource for helping people quit nicotine. Can you walk us through what X offers, particularly for young people or organizations looking for evidence-based cessation support? And then, as well as how the program has evolved as the products have changed.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And it's awesome to hear about all of the cessation work that Tennessee is engaging in. We know that quitting is hard. It's an addiction. It changes your brain. It's not just a bad habit. And that's why it's important to have resources that really work. So X Program by Truth Initiative is a comprehensive digital cessation intervention that we develop in collaboration with the Mayo Clinic's Nicotine Dependence Center. X program first launched way back in 2008, and we've continued to innovate to meet the unique challenges that young people are facing today. So since then, we've helped over 2 million people on their path towards quitting with proven evidence-based quitting approaches, as well as the most established online quit community. We like to call X program the go-to guide on your quitting journey. And that's because we know that support from others and learning and using new skills are really key, proven things that help people quit nicotine. And X program brings them to life for everyone 13 and up. When you sign up for X program, you'll get text messages from experts and from other quitters that adapt to your needs and experiences. And no matter whether you're curious about quitting or you need some extra tools to maintain progress you've already made, X program is here for you at every step of that quitting journey. When you sign up, you'll also get access to online articles about topics like what to expect with nicotine withdrawal, which is a really commonly asked question, as well as to the online X community, which is the most established online community of people quitting nicotine. And side note, it's also maybe the nicest place on the internet. I'm constantly taken not by surprise at this point, but it's awesome to see all of these people who are working towards a common goal and helping each other do this really hard thing. Um, so no matter what nicotine or tobacco product you're quitting, whether it's vaping, smoking, nicotine pouches, we've got you covered. We've evolved X program over the years to continue to meet the needs of our participants, and we've added support to help people quit those newer products that young people are looking for help quitting. Most recently, we added support to help people quit nicotine pouches, and we've seen really good results and feedback from that, which is super exciting. As far as I know, we are the first evidence-based program to help people quit nicotine pouches. I really hope we're not the last. Young people are using these products, and they're also looking to quit these products now. And quitting can be hard. Quitting can be really, really, really hard. And so it's important to have tools that are based in evidence and that have data to back them up. I'm super excited to share that research published in JAMA Internal Medicine has shown that using X program can increase young people's odds of quitting by up to 40%. I'll stop there, but happy
Yeah,
to talk forever about X program.
that's incredible. That's really, really good data. And actually, I was going to be asking about that, about success rates of programs like these. So it sounds like X is exceeding pretty significantly. Yeah, tremendous. One more thing, a question actually did pop into my head about that positivity. You said the most positive place on the internet. We hear so much about the internet being a toxic place, and that sometimes substances and communities around substances pick up people who are going through mental health struggles. With the positivity, the online interaction, do you think that's potentially playing a key role in effectively getting youth to quit? Is that positivity something that other programs can try to emulate?
That's a great question. There is a lot of evidence that support from other people helps people quit. And we are really we really want to keep things hopeful and positive, because there's already so many challenges that people face with stigma and shame and feeling like they need to do this thing alone. And being able to bring people together who are doing this, and people share ideas and what worked for them and what didn't work for them, and they share their wins, big and small. We know that it's helpful for people. And yeah, I think that the positivity helps as well.
That's awesome. I think we all need a little bit more positivity in
Right.
our lives. Sarah, I'm gonna toss it back to you real quick, keeping on the cessation theme. Metro Drug Coalition has been helping students get access to this innovative video game-based approach to youth nicotine cessation. Tell us a little bit about that. What have you learned from the actual use? Like, what are young people saying about it, and what do we know so far about its effectiveness?
Yeah. So we had the unique opportunity, again, with support from the Tennessee Department of Health. We have partnered with Playable, Playbyl. Yes, that's right. So they have two youth-based video games. I spelled it out like four times in my head before this. So they have two youth-based video games. One of those is more for students who are actively using nicotine products. So in our case, that means students who are justice involved or have been cited. Our other program, which I will talk about in just a second, is called Smokescreen. Um, so that first one is Refresh. This one is Smokescreen. Smokescreen is for our middle schoolers. So we mostly use it sixth to eighth grade, seventh grade's kind of that sweet spot for them. But it's an interactive video game that walks them through peer pressure situations. They kind of like will click and interact in different video games, and we'll have different situations that they can go through. It's been really unique. We've had almost 700 students complete that one, and they've really enjoyed it. Again, those are all middle schoolers more so than high schoolers. But coming back to the cessation piece, so Refresh is another course. It's a video game interactive course. It takes anywhere from 2 hours to 4 hours, depending on how much the student wants to grind to get it done. But they walk through, again, those peer pressure situations. They also walk through a quit plan. We do ask them pre and post questions. And sorry, I apologize. I'm going to pull those up really quick. And a lot of them so the biggest change that we saw, it was actually a 2-point change, was a stronger readiness to stop vaping. And I really do think that that's where we start the conversation, right? We all know, and if anybody who has had any personal experience with vaping, most of the time it is not a one and done situation, right? We constantly kind of come back and reevaluate if we have returned to use, of like, well, we got to go through the whole process again. And nicotine is just one of those things that I think that we do that with in particular. Adults do it, kids do it. So having that readiness is kind of the first step, right, to assess that. And then we hone in even more and say, okay, what other supports can we give you? Where is the source coming from? But I don't know. I think the program is really cool. Granted, these are very small sample sizes. We have only had about 10 students complete this course just due to other external factors within our juvenile justice system. But a lot of them, this one was really powerful to me on their post test. 100% of them agreed or strongly agreed that they were likely to seek help outside of school. Yes, that is important. Yes, we do want them to reach out to schools, but I think we also have to take it from another angle of it's about the peers and, especially talking about the X program, that community, but also that sense of community within their age group. I like to tell my students, my youth Metro Drug students, and then also my students that I'm just talking to, nothing about us without us. If we can convince other students to be the champion, but also be the ones to talk about quitting. So another one of their points was our lowest one was only 70% of them felt confident in encouraging a friend to stop quitting. So I think that that's another point and piece that we can come from is empowering those students to help do the work. But I'm looking at a different one and they've said, like I started a plan to help myself, started a quit plan. And yes, that's the first step, but like, how do we follow up? So I've had a really great time with it. Obviously, for those who didn't hear my bio, I have a board game. So I'm very passionate about gameplay and about interactive new ways to talk to students because they do not want to hear me talk to them for 2.5 hours straight. So
That's very good. All right. So we're hearing a lot about how it's working. Connections are working. It's not just standing up in front and lecturing. That there's interactive ways, there's on-demand things we're seeing, and then. Of course, I think something that stuck out to me, Corey. A big thing you mentioned about nicotine-free futures is policy change. This is why, Jamie, I'd love to invite you to talk a bit about policy because education and secession, these are critical. But how does policy change the environment young people are growing up in to make education and cessation more impactful? So, what policy opportunities do you see in Tennessee right now that make the biggest difference in reducing youth access and the use of nicotine products?
That's a great question, Jeremy. And yeah, I think it's one of those things where policy may not be the thing that kids are necessarily thinking about, right? But we as adults and supporters and coalition leaders, that's one of the quickest things we can do to make the environment that our next generation is in one that is not easy for them to get addicted. And right now in Tennessee, it is easy. And that is for a number of reasons. From at the school level, the school policies are different and varying across the state. And I know TDH and the nicotine-free programs it's amazing that we're working towards changing those and adopting the highest level of policy, right? And that's one great goal. I think there could be an opportunity at a statewide level to have one universal policy everywhere that is the highest level. I think from an access standpoint, we have no nicotine retail license in Tennessee, and we are one of like 7 or 8 states left without that. We can approximate that there are at least 13,000 retail establishments selling nicotine products in Tennessee, which compares, if you think about another business that's everywhere, right? McDonald's has 350 in the state. So that's just to put it in perspective. And our friends at ABC, Tennessee ABC, the Alcoholic Beverage Commission, they are responsible for compliance checks and making sure they're not selling to underage kids. But right now, without a license, bad actors that do sell to kids don't have anything to truly be taken away. So that they either just keep doing it or don't pay the fines because, hey, I don't have a license that can be taken away, so I'm just going to keep selling to kids and make as many sales as I possibly can. So that's a really simple policy change that I think we can do, and our coalition is going to be working really hard at next legislative session to try to change, because I think that could cut off the access point much easier. And I didn't think I mentioned it, but with those 13,000, like very, very conservatively, a third of public schools in Tennessee are within walking distance of a tobacco retailer. And I know it's higher than that, but that is just a very conservative estimate. So these are the access points are there. I've heard stories of them being 200 feet from a retailer. Someone on our coalition mentioned that the one near the high school in Nashville is selling nicotine slushies. So there's a retailer in Murfreesboro called Vapes R Us. So it's literally like being waved in our face, and this is like the first way we can get a wrangle of it, is through a policy like a license, because it is proven successful by 43 other states, red and blue. It is a bipartisan issue there. So that's, I think, the biggest one ahead of us right now.
For sure. We also did see some last minute action attempting to stop vape sales from happening close to schools, and there was interest in talking about that again next year. However, but speaking about looking forward in public policy, these products are constantly changing. The nicotine industry is spending incredible amounts of money to stay ahead of policy changes. So what should advocates be thinking about next if we want policies that are addressing not just today's products, but whatever come next? And I'm going to start with you, Jamie, but I would invite everybody here because policy at the state level does have impacts at the local. So staying ahead of products has a practical, what kids are experiencing if impact. So Jamie, I'll start with you there.
I think at the local level, what we can be doing is having conversations that are tough, encouraging parents to have conversations early. I've seen data that shows that it's like 95% of parents in Tennessee know that youth vaping or youth pouch use is a problem, but like 60% of them think it's a problem in their circles or their kids or their world. So there's an element of denial happening too, where, oh, it's happening, I know it's a problem, but it's definitely not my kids. So it's sort of at a level of getting past that, having those tough conversations, having them earlier than ever, starting them in middle school, because that's when kids are starting. I've heard crazy stories of even kids in elementary school, which is incredibly sad. So I think that's a really important thing. And then as a storyteller and communications guy, I challenge everybody on the call and to always be looking around, like, send us the stories that are turning heads, because that helps us bring those stories to the legislature and say, hey, did you hear about this thing that happened in your community? Like we heard about one. I can't remember the county. I'm sure it's somebody on this call who told us, but that there was a county in Tennessee where a school had so many vapes flushed down the toilet that they had to replace the entire septic system. Erica, as you, yeah, that's right. And when they took out the septic system, the vapes like wrapped around the entire school track. So it's like those stories are out there. If you hear about them locally, let us know, because these are the kind of things that are gonna be undeniable to the legislature and make those policies happen quicker. So have those conversations and document stories for us all.
That's quite an image, all them vapes in the septic system. So yeah, our other expert speakers, what should we be thinking about at the local level moving forward to stay ahead of tobacco industry innovation?
I guess I can go. Obviously pouches, I feel like that's the biggest thing right currently. It's hard because I agree with Jamie. Definitely, I think we do need to start earlier, even the middle school. Oftentimes, for my district, I recommend even fourth and fifth grade conversations, because almost always they have already been exposed to it. So at least having those conversations, but also, and this is something we don't quite have enough data. Hopefully, Jacob Black will not smite me if I get this incorrect, but coming back to those nicotine-free vapes, most of the time, thankful for Jacob's research on this, but they have nicotine analogs in them. So they might be caffeine vapes or vitamin B vapes or whatever. But very similarly, if anybody is keeping up with what is happening with kratom or even what we are experiencing with fentanyl right now, they change things way faster than we see them or we can get a hold of them. So starting from essentially with those nicotine analogs, sorry, coming back, my brain's all over the place. With those vapes, they produce the same symptoms as nicotine, right? They activate those same receptors in the brain. They imitate the same effects that nicotine do, all while telling children that there is no nicotine in these. So there's a lot of that. I think also just educating too that these are not products that are ever regulated or touched by anybody. Um, so many students do not understand that and do not know that, even up into high school, especially even when we were talking about THC products too. So yeah, starting, I know that doesn't really connect to policy, but it does because, we kind of start at that middle school level and hope for the best once they get past high school. So,
And just to add on to that, to tie it into policy, even we know that, like Sarah was saying, this industry is always a step ahead. And the resources that they have compared to the resources that we have are astounding. But we need to always be thinking ahead of they're always trying to come up with the next new product. They're already thinking that far ahead. So how can we make our policies as comprehensive as possible so that we aren't having to rewrite them 2 years from now to cover whatever new product there is?
That's such a great point, Corey. And as we were working on nicotine retail license legislation and language, we're sort of saying, how do we define this a retailer in a way that future proofs it for whatever product's coming next too? Because it's just so difficult.
Now, Sarah, also you mentioned pouches. I wonder what kind of damage that would do to the plumbing at a school. So what this is another question for everyone. What are we not talking about enough? If you can make sure every parent, educator, prevention professional, policymaker, everybody in Tennessee involved in this conversation, if they understood one thing about youth nicotine use in 2026, what would that be?
I'd be happy to kick this off.
Please.
This has come up a few times, but I really don't think it can be said enough. And that's that nicotine addiction is not just a bad habit. It's a real addiction. Nicotine addiction can literally change how the brain works, and it's especially harmful for young people. And the implication here is that you can't shame someone out of addiction, you can't punish someone out of addiction, but you can provide tools that are proven to help people quit. And, as easy as a solution as it sounds like, well, we caught this kid vaping in the bathroom, like we should just suspend him for a week or 2 weeks or whatever. It's really counterproductive. And the more that we think about it in terms of an addiction and something that has literally changed a young person's brain, I think the more empathy and support and understanding we can provide them on quitting.
I was going to say the exact same thing, so you nailed that, Bon.
Yeah, and one thing that I feel like doesn't get discussed enough, and I'm not an expert in it, but I do feel like there's very little regulation around what goes into the products in Tennessee. And I know that there is in other states where they limit the amount of nicotine that can be in a vape, but here it's kind of the Wild West. And there's these vapes that have essentially a video game on the vape itself, and you can power it up and take one hit off the vape is like the equivalent of multiple cigarettes worth of nicotine. And I think that that's one of those small details, but it's like if we're talking about getting people addicted, the higher the nicotine level in these products, the quicker the addiction from someone that's just experimenting into becoming a daily user.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just piggyback off of everything that everybody else said. I think also I talk a lot about this with my students. We as adults have, and I don't say we collectively, we as in, everybody who is in this work and has kids, we oftentimes do just dismiss their stress as, oh, well, it's not as important. And that, theoretically in our brain may be true. They are still harboring that stress in their body. And so when we are talking about these nicotine products, and we all know this, they're using it for a reason. It is no longer just when we were in high school, and my parents will talk about this. Oh, we used to go smoke at the den. We used to go do this. It was the cool thing to do. I can guarantee you almost 90% of the kids who are vaping are not doing it because it's cool. There are those that are, but ultimately there is a stress. There's something going on. They have so much pressure. And I'm continuously amazed by my students by how involved they are, how how they have more stuff going on than we do, I guess is the point that I'm trying to make. And I think adults need to remember that and also incorporate that youth voice into the programming that we're doing. Again, I come back to the thing, nothing about us without us. I can go and sit and lecture to a student. If I'm not identifying with them, if I'm not connecting with them, it doesn't matter.
Well said. We have a great question, I think, in here. There is currently not a requirement that health education be delivered except for one course in high school. This question is from the audience. How are students supposed to learn the dangers and skills necessary when they're exposed to nicotine products in that environment?
I think that's a really great question, Heather. My original experience in tobacco prevention comes from Colorado, so I tend to revert back to that a lot. But Colorado has a comprehensive law that makes all schools, grounds, everything tobacco free and includes health education. So I think that needs to go into those policies to make health education a requirement, not just for tobacco, for other things as well, but that's how we make sure these kids are getting the education they need.
It's so true. And, to me, talk about policy opportunities. That's not something I was aware of. Thanks for, you know, flagging that for us, Heather. And, maybe there's an opportunity for future policy change to require that in some way. And yeah, that's what I love about these webinars too. Is we are an amazing group of experts that come together to share what's happening now, but also what's not happening and what we can do about it to change it in future years. And that's always inspiring to me.
I'll second that, Jamie, especially given the emojis on that comment telling me that kind of an unofficial survey that's a topic of interest. All right. We've got a potential answer here from Shayla. Welcome. Coalitions and health departments have to partner with schools to help educate them through health education and lifetime wellness classes. And we always connect our presentations back to state standards. Very good. A good example there from Anderson County. So yeah, please do. That was a great question, I thought. Please do drop any others in chat if you have them. But I'll go ahead and launch with this one for the panel. What can coalitions do next? For coalition members listening today who want to take what they've learned and turn it into action, what's a concrete thing they can do over the next 6 months to have an impact?
I'm driving. This is Susan from Tobacco Free Kids. I'm driving, so I can't text in the chat. And I was very, very late to this call, so pardon me if this has already been talked about. But are we generating a lot of letters from these coalitions or local counties or local boards in support of statewide legislation?
Yeah, I think that's I was going to kind of jump into on what coalitions and members across the state can do is we are our get more involved in your coalition to start, right, and get more active in it. Don't just show up to the meetings, but write the letters, call your legislators, collect the stories, find a friend and bring them involved. Our coalition specifically, we have our full meeting next month in September in Murfreesboro, where we'll be picking our policy priorities for 2027. We'd love for you to be there, pick a vote on it. I think I know, based on this conversation and the conversations we have, what's going to be coming, right? But we would love for you to get involved and show up at the Capitol with us when we're advocating. Write letters if you can't. There's a lot of opportunities on our local level to support statewide legislation for a nicotine retail license, and then I think locally looking at your school policy as well, right? I think that's what is it up to? Is it the strongest it can be? Whether or not you're a grant recipient through Nicotine Free Futures, what's that policy they're pushing? Can you look at updating your school with that? I think that's a great first step too. In a time where it might feel like so much is out of our control. When it comes to health policy and support systems, these are things that are within our control, and we can better our own communities through these policies. And so I'd say, don't sit back and be discouraged, get active and try to make a change.
And I would add that the state health department is happy to provide assistance for people who, even if you're not a nicotine-free futures grantee, if you're looking at updating your policy, give us a call. We're happy to provide language and best practices and connect you with your local health educators and coalitions to work on that together as a team.
Hey, Jamie, the other thing I wanted to mention, and I'm sorry again if it's already been talked about, it'd be great to get some testimonials on video or even in writing from kids who are saying that they are initiating nicotine use with pouches or vapes to sort of counter the baloney that keeps blowing up our bills about it being an opportunity for smokers of combustibles to step down in harm. Most people using pouches initiated with pouches. They're not necessarily using them to quit smoking cigarettes, and vapes as well. So if we could get some, hands-on, I mean, not hands-on, some authentic videos from youth, especially, that they're using these to initiate use or initiate tobacco consumption or nicotine consumption, as opposed to their rhetoric about harm.
Absolutely. And we talked about story collection a little bit earlier, but that's a great reminder and flag that's one of the easiest first things you can do too with your coalitions locally, with your schools locally. And a reminder that last year when we brought nicotine retail licensure to the state, there was a coalition of youth that formed around supporting this called License to Save Lives. So that coalition will continue to work together this fall. So if you have youth in your town, in your school system, in your local coalition, get them involved in that too, because that'll be a great way to collect stories and get involved.
Jamie, sorry, one more thing. Did you guys talk anything about the Zen concerts? Because rumor has it Jason Aldean's doing a Zen customer concert.
No, we didn't, but that is a great example of the Big Tobacco's marketing tactics. Their playbook has not changed. The products have changed, but their playbook has not. And that used to be sponsoring product placement in TV shows and in movies, and now it's Noah Kahan concerts. And so that's one of those things that we can pull back the curtain. But it's great to keep send those things, send it to us, so the more we can show examples of what they're doing to target kids, the better.
All right, thank you all. In the last few minutes here, I'm just gonna swing by through some reminders. Our next webinar, Power to the People, what smoke-free ordinance Tennessee communities can pass today. It's going to be October 22nd. So you can RSVP smokefreetennessee.com/webinars. And our next coalition meeting, you want to dive deeper, get a bit more involved in what we're doing. We'll be in Murfreesboro in less than a month, September 15th. Of course, there will be a Zoom option as well for those who can't make the drive. But you can find that there. There's that URL, smokefreetennessee.com, coalition-meeting-RSVP. But we'd love to have you. It's a good time. And some additional reminders. We do provide certified prevention specialist certificates. This is for CEUs. The presentation and the Zoom recording, it's going to be sent out next week. And we would like to welcome new members to join the coalition. So if you enjoyed today, go ahead and take the next step, get on our newsletter list for coalition happenings and extra action alerts and just really enhance what you can do to help prevent smoking and nicotine use in Tennessee. And of course, we've got lots of free resources on our website, toolkits, infographics, all sorts of stuff. We'll make sure I'm not missing everything here. All right. Thank you, Sarah. All right. Yeah. Get involved. Any questions, any concerns, info@smokefreetennessee.com. Jamie, any last things?
Thanks so much to Jeremy for hosting, to Lon, to Sarah, to Corey for sharing their expertise with us today. This was an amazing conversation. Grateful to all you and all the work you do, both locally, statewide, and nationally. And look forward to our continued collaborations to band together against vaping here in the next year to make a difference in our communities.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great afternoon.
Bye, y'all.